welcome, welcome. I am Dena, and you are tuned in to a discussion with Dena. Okay, are we all aware of those people who are running for president? It is not simply Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. We have an independent and third party, Cornel West, Jill Stein, and Chase Oliver. This is just a reminder that there are three independent and third-party candidates who are currently running for president, and they want your vote, and they want the opportunity to speak to you and tell you what their policies are. I am convinced, and many others may be, that this current two-party system is just not effective. It appears to be very corrupt sometimes, nonchalant to the needs of its own people, its citizens, and pretty much ran by big corporations, big money, and think tanks with big agendas. Agendas that I personally find questionable, many unnecessary, and simply are just not in agreement with my own family values, or beneficial for that matter to the future success of this country as a whole. In fact, some may even find it to be disastrous for the country. So we find ourselves dealing with some very detrimental issues at this time. Issues that have been made more challenging, it seems, by the current administration, leaving many who claim to be Democrats seeking a new party or a new solution. They are exploring better options, or perhaps considering just choosing the couch. The current administration seems to lack the ability to prevent and utilize the resources that are available to control illegal entry into the country, and it has led to adversity in many of our communities. We're dealing with the highest inflation I have never seen, goods and services, the prices as high as we are experiencing now, and reparations. That is a big issue for me. It being purposely blocked and gridlocked by those who were voted into place under the Democratic label. And not to mention, we are still very much depriving legal citizens and taxpayers of basic resources and benefits. We are funneling taxpayer funds and resources and benefits meant to help us. It is being used to take care of the many illegal people that entered this country. Funneling taxpayer dollars to give an advantage to the millions who chose to enter, by breaking the law into the country. The millions who simply bypass the law. They don't have to abide by the same laws as us, apparently, but they're being rewarded with benefits for this behavior. Benefits that are financed by me and you. Yet we, taxpayers, are being denied those same resources, and that's a huge problem. And it seems to be a problem that the Democrats can't seem to honestly talk about. It seems to be ignored, even though there's this huge outcry from all around the country, from actual citizens of this country who are being affected by this. There seems to be this nonchalant response to it. So people are seeking better alternatives to what we have become accustomed to. Plain and simple, the Democrats and the Republicans leave much to be desired in this political arena. Now, one of the independent third party or Green Party candidates, Jill Stein, who we see and hear very little from in the mainstream media, which I think that is a very big problem. It's very unfair. But Miss Stein recently shared her viewpoint on the Breakfast Club, and I thought it necessary that we take a listen to what she has to say.
Who owns your vote? Politicians have to earn your vote. They don't own it. And that's the question. Are they earning your vote? When you actually look at our condition, people are facing a crisis really in every dimension of our lives. and it's not getting better, yet our resources are being squandered. 68% of Americans want an immediate ceasefire and an end to the genocide. 68%. Yet you can hardly get a single vote on that behalf in Congress, and you're getting a standing ovation per minute for that war criminal Netanyahu, who is carrying out this genocide, which could be ended with a simple phone call from the president. Just like Reagan did, just like Eisenhower did before him. The U.S. is in charge. This is our genocide going on right now. And don't let them talk you into voting for genocide. If you vote for genocide, you're endorsing it, you're enabling it. We can stop it. We actually have the power. And I'll just quote two people, Frederick Douglass, who said, "Power concedes nothing without a demand." The empire is trying to talk you out of your demand right now, but we have that demand. We have the numbers to make the demand. We got the solutions. We've got a system. We have an analysis which actually works, and we got to stand up and make that demand. They're trying to shame you and blame you out of making that demand that belongs to us. Our vote is our power in a democracy. Don't let them talk you out of it. And the second thing is Alice Walker, the novelist and poet, who said the biggest way people give up power is by not knowing we have it to start with. We got the power if you look at the numbers, if you look at the values, if you look at the solutions that are out there. They're out there really waiting for us to stand up and demand them. And if we don't, that's at our peril. It's not just that we're making a mess out of the world. We've committed some 80 regime change operations since the Second World War. What's going on in Gaza it's like a microcosm. It's like a symbol of empire and colonialism kind of run amok. But it's not the only place. We've been rolling out slow motion genocides all over the world for quite some time. And, this is catching up to us. We are no longer the dominant power around the world. Power is shifting. We need to shift with it. We can no longer be giving marching orders to the rest of the world. We need to stand up like an adult and be part of a global community and a shared power structure.
Here are the things that Jill Stein believes sets her party apart from all of the rest.
Well, for one thing, we don't take money from billionaires and bankers and AIPAC and Wall Street and the war machine. So we're a people-powered party. That's what makes us totally different. That's what liberates us to actually tell it like it is and to stand up and fight for the people, for the health care that we need as a human right, for the housing that we need, because half of America right now, half of all renters are struggling to keep a roof over their heads. That's not a surprise, I'm sure, to the listeners on this program. 87 million people don't have the health care that we need. Our schools are in crisis. We got 44 million people carrying student debt and a climate crisis. Yet we're spending half of our congressional dollars on the endless war machine, bringing us the likes of the genocide in Gaza and beyond. We got 3, nuclear wars in the making right now. This is where our dollars are going. It's half of our congressional budget. It's $12,000 on average per household in America to keep this endless war machine going right now. Yet we have such urgent and dire needs, especially among communities of color and African Americans. We've got really critical needs that we need to be meeting. And that's what the Green Party is about, actually fighting for people, planet, and peace over profit. Every vote counts, and we believe because every vote counts, that's why we don't want the Electoral College telling us that some states matter and others don't. We believe, and in terms of how we are conducting our campaign, we're in swing states, we're in red states, we're in blue states. We are all about building power and really helping to help people to grab the power that belongs to us. The fallacy there, which is what the Democrats in particular harp on, and it's not true. The idea that votes for Greens came at the expense of votes for Hillary Clinton. We actually know from exit polls and just from talking to people who vote for us, and it's about 61% of everybody who votes for us would not have come out to vote. So those votes didn't come from Hillary Clinton, and some of them actually came from Trump too. So if you actually crunch the numbers, what you see is that the outcome would not have changed at all. No Electoral College vote would have changed. Exactly, none. If you calculate the fact, 61% of our votes would not have voted one bit.
Jill Stein's views on reparations is that there is a need for a U.S. Truth and Reconciliation Commission. I don't know about the reconciliation. I don't know exactly what that means. but she does believe that reparations are due to Black Americans, including cash payments, and that it must be payment for past and present injustices. Her platform states that if elected, she will speak with Black leaders, and we need to know what Black leaders they are, because as we see today, who we call Black leaders are not really effective, nor do they work for our benefit. So that has to be defined as well. But she is willing to confer with Black people to determine the parameters, logistics, and eligibility requirements for reparation payment. But the most important part is that it does, and it should include cash along with other reparations.
We will be a choice, an anti-genocide, anti-war, pro-worker, pro-reparations, climate emergency choice, and the only one which has nationwide status. We will be on the ballot for 95% of voters. That is more than enough to win an election. But, I don't want to just focus on winning the election. This is an odd election, and I would not rule out a win, but that's not the only reason to run. Every vote cast for our campaign is a vote against genocide. It is a shot across the bow of the endless war machine to say that we, the people, are getting organized, we are moving forward, we are growing, we have organization and infrastructure that we have never had before. We've never been able to break through like we are now, because Greens have been ahead of the curve on a lot of things like climate change, on reparations, on healthcare as a human right, on housing as a human right, also on Gaza and genocide. We've been very much ahead of the curve. And on cutting the military budget. We're spending as much as the next 10 major military budgets around the world right now. We're more than all 10 of them put together. We can cut our military budget, which is not benefiting us here in America, and put those dollars into what we critically need right here and right now. We need to be raising the floor for schools across the country. Why should the quality of your school depend on luxury housing in your community? Schools should not depend only on property taxes from housing. The federal government should be in the business of raising the floor so that we have a common standard across the country. So regardless of your zip code, you have good, high quality education where you're starting out. Things like that is where we need to be spending our money, not on endless war, on genocide, on killing children, on massacring women and children every day. The police violence in this country. We don't need that police violence. And there are alternatives to that can actually move us forward. Yeah, go ahead.
A reminder, presenting this information by no means should it be interpreted as an endorsement or support for this candidate or any other candidate or group. It is simply a reminder that the presidential options are larger than just the Republican and Democratic parties. I will explore the other two candidates, independent candidates Cornel West and Chase Oliver's platform as well. If you would like more information on Jill Stein's Green Party and policies, visit her website or check out the Breakfast Club interview with her in its entirety. Be sure to subscribe and leave me your comment. And join me next time for another discussion with Dena. Ta-ta!
This concludes your daily discussions with Dena. Join us Monday through Friday at 12:30 p.m. Like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment.